welcome back. Today I'm doing a quick little video talking about my speculations and ideas on Marilyn Manson's upcoming One Assassination Under God Chapter 2. So if you're not aware, recently, within the last 2 months, a track list had been leaked from some BMI website. There's 8 songs in total. It has been confirmed, I think. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. If you know anything, let me know in the comments, let others know. But yeah, there's 8 songs and these are in no order. Definitely not the order that's going to be on the album, because I've got no clue what order they are going to be on the album, But regardless, I'm going to go through each track, talk about my thoughts on what they could sound like, and some additional stuff at the end. The first track that I've got this on my iPad over here. The first track is All the Vilest Things. Immediately I draw a correlation to both As Sick as the Secrets Within and The Bright Young Things off of Golden Age of Grotesque, probably because both of them have things in the title. Immediately I can picture, for the pre-chorus of this song, which is very specific, I know, but I've got a very vivid sonic imagination. But my vision is that the pre-chorus is going to use a similar vocal effect as the bridge in As Sick as the Secrets Within, just repeating the song title. Something like that. That's what I get in my head. I could be totally off. But it also gives me ideas of musically the song being similar to both As Sick as the Secrets Within and Death Is Not a Costume. I personally think this song would be very interesting. I can imagine this being a very dark song. It's also one of my favourite titles. The next song, well, the next title, is my personal favourite, which is Arsonist. Now, immediately I correlate this to some lyrics from Not If You Understand. I haven't memorized the lyrics, nor do I have them written down, but I'm pretty sure you could understand what I mean by that. I can also imagine it being sonically similar to Not If You Understand. I think it would be even more aggressive, but yeah, I can definitely imagine this one being the heavy song of the album. I hope it is. I really miss that Manson style aggression that we had on Antichrist Superstar, and even parts of Mechanical Animals, and definitely Hollywood, Burning Flag in particular, which is one of my favorites. Even stuff like Get Your Gun off of Portrait, and songs like Murderers Are Getting Prettier Every Day off of Born Villain, and We're From America off of The High End of Low. But moving on, the next title we get to is Don't Answer the Door. I immediately draw a correlation to Raise the Red Flag, both musically, visually, to a degree, I suppose, if that makes sense. However, Raise the Red Flag is actually going to be something I mention towards the end of these tracks, and you'll know what I mean. Don't Answer the Door. It almost reminds me of Little Red Riding Hood in a way, if that makes any sense. I'm not sure why, but that's the images that I'm getting in my head. I do think that this one will be similar to songs like As Sick as the Secrets Within, Death Is Not a Costume, No Funeral Without Applause, which I think is heavily underrated. I can definitely imagine it being a darker song. I can already imagine Tyler Bates doing some of his signature leads, which, this might be a controversial opinion, but I really wish he would kind of hold back on some. That's just my personal opinion. Moving on, we have a title that immediately sounds like it could be a B-side off of Antichrist Superstar, which is Entantiomorph. It immediately reminds me of songs like Crypto Kid, Kinderfeld, Wormboy, Deformography, those kind of songs, and that's how I presume it will sound. I can picture a very industrial sound to it. I can imagine something similar to those songs, definitely. I can also, again, that bridge in As Sick as the Secrets Within, it just keeps playing in my head whenever I think of it, more or less the vocal delivery / effects. I can imagine that on this song being a forefront, and this is one of the songs I'm most excited to hear. It immediately reminds me of Antichrist Superstar, especially Crypto Kid. I hope I'm pronouncing that title right, and I hope I'm pronouncing Entantiomorph right. Moving on, the next title we have is Exit Wound, and I have to say there's speculation that this is going to be a single released in, well, the coming days, I suppose. Well, that's what a lot of people think. They are assuming that June 5th it's going to release as a single, because Marilyn Manson posted to his story an AI generated image of a exit sign with bullet holes through it, which I don't know. Of course, the huge Marilyn Manson fan and hopeful part of me wants to believe that it's going to be the first single, but I'm not sure. But that's for another time during this video. Sonically, this is one where it's hard. I can imagine it, but I can't fully picture it in words without referring to other songs. In my opinion, this one feels like it could be the entire One Assassination Under God Chapter 1 combined into one song, because I'm getting elements of each song in my mind. Anyway, moving on, we get to what I presume is going to be the sacrifice of the mass of this album, which is Lucifer's Teardrop. I can already see the correlation between the famous painting. I can't remember the actual title. I think it's called The Fallen or The Fall or something similar. It is just a painting of Lucifer as an angel during the fall, I believe, with the teardrop, and I can immediately imagine that is what the title is a reference to, because Manson has definitely shown his appreciation of the painting in various forms. And I can also imagine it being a more slower paced one. Then again, I could be totally wrong. He could do what Sacrifice of the Mass did, where I assumed it would have been a song like Crucifixion in Space, where actually it was a song that was like a ballad, kind of. I don't know, I use the term ballad loosely, but I think it's really good. Anyway, moving on, we're down to the last two, which is None of the Suns. Now, this title immediately reminds me of A Place in the Dirt from Hollywood. I'm not sure why, but it just immediately puts that image into my head. I can immediately hear that kind of sound throughout the song. But yeah, I hope I'm giving enough like description. Then again, you guys, I would love to hear your speculations. If you think I'm right, if you think I'm totally wrong and sound like an idiot, please let me know. But yeah, moving on to the final song in this batch. Who knows, there could be more, there could be less. We don't know if any of these are actually official. These are only what was leaked. Unalive. Now, this is the song that I was talking about that reminds me of Raise the Red Flag, and I hope somebody can figure out why. I'm actually very curious. If you can figure out why it does, let me know in the comments. But I immediately get reminded of Raise the Red Flag. Yeah, I can imagine it being a similar song to that in a way, I suppose. But yeah, I definitely can imagine a little bit of the love song too from Hollywood. I can imagine that. Moving on, now we get to the fun part of the video, which is my predictions on what 3 songs are going to be the singles, assuming that it follows the structure single wise as Chapter 1. My first guess is Don't Answer the Door. A lot of people are assuming Exit Wound, but I think Don't Answer the Door is going to be the single. I can imagine it perfectly being either the first or second single. I can definitely see that in my mind very, very clearly. I would be shocked if it wasn't a single. Then again, Exit Wound also could be a single, but that also would, in my opinion, would be the perfect title for a closing track. Like, that could be the sacrifice of the mass of the album. I don't know. This is all just really vague speculation. And the final song I'm thinking is All the Vilest Things. I can already imagine that being a single, probably either the first or the third. Then again, who knows, maybe he could shock us all and put Front Toward Enemy on the album and have that as a single. And I'm also very curious, the teaser with Nuclear Blast, there has to be more imagery than what was shown in that. There has to be. I'm seriously wondering why there isn't any visuals or like any music videos with that imagery. I assumed it would have been in As Sick as the Secrets Within, but no. Anyway, I'm going to conclude this video here. I want to thank the Heavy Frequency for the video idea. I did kind of steal it because he did a video on The Prodigy, and I was very interested and I thought I would try my own. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and let me know in the comments your thoughts, and I'll see you guys for another video very, very, very soon. And yeah, take care.